Okay guys, welcome back. Today we are back on the Element and we are actually seeing an end to working on this. If you're not familiar, this Element started off, we bought it with a blow-in motor, automatic front wheel drive. It is now a K24A2 all-wheel drive manual. So when you watch us do the all-wheel drive setup, we did tell you that the brakes were pretty seedy. The backing plate is, well, it's there, but it's not there. So we do have, and the e-brake cables were tied up around the spindle. So we're going to have to do e-brake cables today. We're going to put on new to us backing plates that we ordered off eBay, which are fairly good shape. We have new rotors, we have new pads, and we have new calipers because we bought it all together. This caliper is fairly new, but I'm still going to change it just because, and then worst case, I can save that for later on. So this should be a fairly easy job, other than making sure the bolts come out for the backing plate and the bolts come out for the e-brake cable, because you got a 10 mil or 12 mil there and you got one down below, so as long as they don't get stuck in the body. And this is what usually happens, is both sides were taped up because the bracket was broken. We have our mechanic Chris today. All right, let's have some fun with this. Wow, they're non-existent. There's no hardware at all. We're going to take this off the other one, the parts car.
What year? Oh, the shoes and
yeah, there's nothing.
Because that would go like...
Yeah, it's gonna have to.
So next time on Beast or Boost, we're doing wheel bearings.
No, they should be good. They're not gonna hurt nothing, hopefully.
Do they unbolt? They're pressing us.
They should be a bolting affair.
No, they are too. Okay, this is good fun.
So this should have been done before we put that axle in.
Yep. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Wow.
That's the way the whole suspension was.
Yeah, Ontario car.
Still.
I should have come on that and just reef on it. Just, yep. Whoa.
I was so paranoid of that coming out.
Yeah, because the bushing always comes out of it. I mean, like, I'm not even putting much effort into that. Now, come on, that's the bolts. Let's see how she comes off.
Still not bad. That's the backing plate bolts or the backing bolts?
So this is one thing really. I'm holding right now.
So we're going to take this off. I'm just in Chris's way. So we'll come back after we got the bearing unbolted. We're going to pull that off. Hopefully the bearing comes out easily. This should have been done when we did the all-wheel drive swap, but we didn't realize that.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never.
I know, it's hard to tell. I don't think it did, to be honest. We didn't know that the backing plate gets sandwiched in between the hub and spindle. So we took a little break. We ordered new backing plate, or not new backing plate. We ordered new hub, new spindle for both sides, e-brake hardware, because there was none here when we took this apart. We already had new e-brake cables and stuff. So we're going to get ready to reassemble this together. As of right now, Chris is putting the backing plate, which we got off of eBay, back onto the new hub, or the new bearing. And we're going to push that back into the new spindle. Seems like a lot of pushing and shoving. Mm-hmm. So you will see that there is a couple bends around the side. That doesn't really affect anything, and I bought it that way. I'm pretty sure I paid like $80 for those two. And from Honda, they're like $250 and $300 or something. It's crazy. So Jeff gave us the bearing kit. That's what you brought in. Bolts should just go straight through, shouldn't it?
Should.
There's one of the hurdles we're talking about. I had to put new backing plates. new calipers, new rotors, new e-brake cable, all up through there. That's just regular maintenance. I do have the transmission up in spot, as you see. And one thing I did not know, and this is what you need to know if you're doing this swap. So if you're doing this swap, you need to know a few things. This is a 2007. 2006 and up, the wiring harnesses are different. So I just lucked out and I found a 2007 parts car on Kijiji that needed a head gasket. Perfect. It was manual. It was all-wheel drive. I was like, perfect. I already had 4 all-wheel drive transmissions here. So I went and picked that up and bought it, knowing A, I need the engine harness. I'd like the dash. I like the dash harness. I'm going to take the ECU. I'm going to take the door cylinders. I'm going to take the steering column. So I can swap everything to manual and have 0 issues. Well, let me tell you, yes and no. So this is my own personal issue, and it's because I didn't know enough about this generation of Honda. I just went out back to my parts shed, and I was like, hey, I have 4 all-wheel drive transmissions. I'm going to pick this one, and I'm going to put it in the Honda Element. Seems pretty simple, right? Well, wrong. The vehicle speed sensor in 06 was changed. So they're on the front of the transmission. Not a big deal. I grabbed one that's on the back of the transmission. It is a big deal. So I installed it, got it all wired up, got to the transmission, and I was like, there's an extra plug. And because of that, now my vehicle speed will not register to my cluster or the ECU, and if I continue without fixing it, it will go in limp mode. So now what I need to do is I'm going to need to take this transmission back out of the car before I even get the car running to put the proper transmission in. So I did take the one out of the 08 that was outside, but I do have one out of an 06 or 07 CRV, and they're actually in the same spot as well. So I do have a couple of those transmissions. So in today's episode of What Did I Not Do Properly, we're going to drop the K-frame. We're going to disassemble the transmission. Now, good thing is we didn't put axles in. We put the half shaft in, but that's easy. We didn't put axles in, so that's not buttoned up. The shifter cables aren't on yet, so I'm going to take those off. The hydraulic clutch line, all that stuff isn't on yet because I don't have to. So realistically, we're going to drop the K-frame. We're going to do all the motor or the transmission mounts down here. They say this can be done as a one-person's job, so hopefully it can be. And we're going to drop this transmission out so we can put the proper one back in and, well, hopefully not lose too much because it's been on this hoist way too long and I want to get this running and driving. And it's winter and, well, the Civic Ute is outside, so we kind of need to get stuff going. So first things first is you got your front transmission mount and you got your rear transmission mount. We're going to have to undo those. And then we're going to have to undo the subframe, make sure it's on the ground so it can sit on jack stands, and then we'll move it out of the way. So let's have some fun. So everything is disconnected. Intake manifold to go off. I left the starter just dangling. It's disconnected. All the bolts of the transmission are disconnected. Last thing is this mount that I actually made. You've probably seen that already, but I'm going to do a little revision when it's out too. I want to make this come out a little more so I can get the bolt in without having to take the mount off. And I kind of want to make this swoop in like this side. So if all goes well, I can drop that, the jack's underneath of it. And I'm hoping that that's enough without it coming crashing down. I'd almost say that it probably would have been easier to disconnect the rad hoses and just drop it down. Because realistically, it was power steering lines, AC lines, and rad hoses. The engine harness isn't even into the firewall yet because I got to change the dash to the manual dash. So doing it this way might have been a little more harder in my eyes because I'm only one person. If I would have dropped it with a K-frame, it would have been all one unit. It probably would have been easier to do as one person. So we have Chris installing the fork off of the other transmission and the newer throwout bearing. I think the clutch had like 40,000 K that we're using out of a 2012 SI. So, like I said, I waited for Chris because it was kind of a pain. It would have been a pain to drop that by yourself. So, I didn't do much when Chris was here or vice versa because it's not really a two-person job, but it's nicer to have 2 people just in case it falls and you don't want it to come crashing out anyways. So that's out. Here is where you'll see the old vehicle speed sensor is. We broke it trying to pull it out, not realizing it's a shaft with the gear set. And my other one's supposed to go right there, where there's no spot for it. So thankfully, we do have one. I'm pretty sure this is out of the 06 CRV I junked. So it's kind of nice to have multiples. And it'll be a mistake I'll never make again. So what we're going to do is slide that under. And I think even going up would be a two-person job, just to make sure that it goes up in spot. One good thing we're going to have to check is I'll show you on this one. We got to make sure there's no dowels stuck in the transmission case. So this is the old one that came off. There's none on this one. So we got to make sure it's the same thing on that one, because it will be a pain to try to jack it up and then not realize until you're halfway up fiddling with it, trying to get it in spot. So with the, it's kind of dark. With the transmission back in spot, we're going to end up taking this strut assembly out because we do have coilovers and we have new brakes. We didn't change this caliper because, as you can tell, it is fairly new to begin with. Half shaft is in right down there. Let me show you the other side. So here's the other side all done. We have a new caliper on this side because this one wasn't changed when that one was done for some reason. We have new rotor. We have new pads. We have new flex line going up. We have our teen coilovers. I have not put in the camber bolt, but you can see it sitting in spot just in case we need it for extra camber in the front. And the rear has adjustable rear upper control arms, so it should get us to where we need to be. And you will see that the axle's in spot as well. So this side is done. So we're treating this, or you can treat this like any car that you work on. If you've done a motor swap, just put it back together. I'm putting new parts on because I have them. Now, I didn't plan on doing coils right away, but then I was like, well, if I'm doing the brakes and I'm already here, I might as well just put the coils on. So do the coils, you undo your tie rod bolt right there, and then you get your 3 upper strut bolts, which we'll take off. That will come out, and then I will probably put the axle in first, because as you see, the axle runs right where that spindle is, or right where the bottom of the strut is, so it kind of gets in the way, so it's kind of nice just to do it when that's out, and then I can push that into itself. So when we come back, that will be all done. It's super easy to do, guys, and then we're going to start working on reassembling the upper part of the motor. All right, so transmission in, axles in, everything's the way it's supposed to be on both sides, as you see. Now we're back on the engine bay. So, like anything, if I zoom down here, here's my shifter cables. Here goes down. There is a bracket already down there. So what we're going to do is we got to do the clutch line. Clutch line clips onto here, right there. Clutch line clips on here and bolts there, and then it comes up into the master that way. So I'm going to take off my transmission mount for 2 reasons. I can get on that way easier than using a ratchet, and the second reason is I want to put a gusset here, and I want to sandblast this, paint this black, and I'm probably going to trim the back side of this a little bit so it doesn't look so bulky. So I'm going to get that out, and like anything, it's a 17 mil bolt. One thing you got to see is when you're doing the all-wheel drive swap, you need the carrier bracket. I'm going to see if I can show you guys this. Excuse my light. So there's the carrier bracket. There's the carrier bracket off. You will see that I literally just drilled out a couple spot welds from the other car. I did have a parts car, as you guys seen, that I bought. So it was easier for me to cut out the floor and deal with it at a different date, and that was today. So I literally drilled it out, straightened it up some, and as you can see, there is the carrier bracket. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this up in spot. I don't know where spot is. I'm going to leave it there like that. And then here shortly, I'll put the drive shaft. I'll bolt it back up there. I'll bolt it back there. And then when Chris is here, we can eye it up. So if it has to go left, it can go this way. If it goes right, it goes this way. And I can tack it, weld it, and be done. If you don't have a welder, what you could do is you can see that there's spot welds. You could technically drill out those holes, not insert it, and then just bolt it down in spot. I have a welder. I'm going to do that. But, you know, even if you're at the junkyard, you could pull that off and 20 minutes and you could have it look OEM and it would look professional. So this Honda Element SE will look like it came from factory with that bracket. So we're going to call it quits in that video. We still have e-brake. The whole e-brake assembly has to be done. New e-brake cables, bearings, hub, backing plate. We're working on that. Today in another video, I'm going to fit up the drive shaft. Now you've seen that I did have it fitted up, but I didn't have the carrier bracket. So I did drill that out and I have one to weld into this car. So I have the proper factory carrier bracket set up. So it's just not dangling and, you know, it looks OEM. So if you're new to the channel, guys, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and we'll definitely catch you on the next.